Hello, my name is Kim. I'm an artist and my goal is to help people learn how to paint in a fun and approachable way. Today we're going to paint a Christmas tree scene that absolutely anyone can create in a few simple steps. As always, I'll be here to give you all the details and walk you through every step of the way. Let's get started. To start, I've added some blue and some black to my canvas, so about 3/4 blue and 1/4 black. And I'm going to use a large flat brush and I'm going to blend it out around 3/4 of the way down the canvas. So you want to make sure you're blending this out, but also don't go overlap the bottom part because we want to keep that snow nice and crisp. And now we're just going to finish off our background with a little bit of white at the bottom, and I'm going to blend that up into the top and to the sky because I want there to be a nice soft transition between the two. Alright, and now that we're finished our background, we're going to move on to our tree. So I've added some dark green to my palette and I'm going to use a medium-sized filbert brush, and I'm going to start by adding a line down the middle of my canvas, just where I want my tree to be as a guide to make things easier for me. Then I'm just going to keep dipping into that green paint and I'm going to start building out my tree. So I'm just dipping back into the paint and holding the brush vertical to the canvas, and I'm just dabbing in lightly where I want to suggest a tree shape, taking my time and building out the tree shape slowly. Okay, and before I move on to the next step, I'm going to take a little bit of black and I'm just going to add a little bit of a shadow down below at the bottom of the tree, as well as throughout more so the bottom of the tree, just to add a bit of dimension. Now I've added some light green to my palette as well, and I'm going to use that same dabbing motion and I'm going to start building out more of the lighter parts of my tree. So you always want to pick a light source when you're painting, and I've decided mine will be more towards the left top side of my canvas. And so I'm going to dab on these lighter branches, keeping in mind to keep them more so to the top and left side of the tree, just to help to build up the dimension more. Okay, and last step for our tree is I've added some white to my palette, and now I'm going to also dab on some white just to suggest some snowy branches here and there. So I'm going to take care to have this on all sides of the tree because we want the snow to be falling evenly, and we just want to suggest that some of the branches have snow resting on them. All right, you're doing great. So our tree is finished. We're gonna add our star on the top now and start decorating our tree. So I'm gonna use a small pointed brush here, and I've added a dollop of white to the very top of the tree. And I find this is the easiest way, is you start with the most paint in the middle, and then you use the brush just to drag out lightly towards the all sides. So take your time with this and slowly build up the star the way you want with the white first. And then I've also added a bit of gold paint to my palette as well. And I'm gonna dip into that and then also add that in on top of the white just to layer in this like sparkly metallic effect. Okay, now is the fun part where you get to decorate your tree any way you like. So I'm going to start off with a bit of white here in that same pointed brush, and I'm going to first add a bit of a garland going down the length of the tree, and then I'm going to use that same white and add some ornaments next. So as I was painting these decorations on, I couldn't help but think about how I was trying to paint my ideal Christmas tree like I had seen in like storybooks, like the Nutcracker when I was a child. So I'm curious to know, if you added different decorations to your tree, what did you add and why did you add it? Please let me know in the comments down below. I'm very curious. Okay, so once you're done with your white decorations, if you chose to add them in, I'm going to move on and use that same gold metallic color I used for the star and start adding in some ornaments there as well. So same with the white, I'm taking care to add different sizes and also different spacing for the ornaments just to make sure it looks the most natural. Once that's finished, I'm going to go in and do the exact same thing with a bright Christmas red as well. This is going to really help your painting pop because the background is blue, and so red being the complementary color, it's going to stand out all the more. It's going to look gorgeous when you're finished. Okay, so here's one small thing you can do if you choose. I like to take a small pointed brush at the end and add a bit of white just to add that bit of like sheen to each of the bulbs, just to show that they're bright and they're reflective and that they're dome shaped, and it just adds a little bit extra to your painting. The only tip I have here is just make sure you do each ornament color separately. So do all your reds and then do all your golds, especially if your paint is still wet. Once I'm finished with that, I'm going to move straight into adding a bit of a shadow to the bottom of the tree. So I decided I want this to be a little bit more heavy. So I'm using that same filbert brush from before, and I'm just going to dab it on lightly just to show that there's a bit more shadow underneath the tree. And I'm also going to take the time to add any final last touches I want here before we add the snow on top. So I'm just going to fix up some of the branches below, and then we'll move on to the final step. So for this final step, I've dipped my brush into some water and then some white paint, and then I'm just gonna use that same filbert brush in a flicking motion, and I'm gonna flick it down very lightly at my painting. So the key here is to start off with less water than you think you need and build it up slowly, just because you don't want to flick accidentally too much paint onto your beautiful painting. So start slow with this and small with this, and then slowly build it up as you get more confident. And with that, we're finished. If you had fun painting this Christmas tree together, then I think you're gonna love this next art tutorial I have for you on how to paint this beautiful galaxy sky. So click to watch, and I'll see you there.